Good morning and welcome to Soul Horse Medicine. Happy Tuesday. We are 2 days out from Thanksgiving in this end of the world. And as I was out this morning with my herd, there were a few things that were trying to move through me that I feel like I just want to talk about for a few minutes. The first one, and maybe the most important today, is how there's a lot of pressure out there right now for us to be showing up a certain way in our lives. Some of us are feeling it a little stronger than others. Maybe with the holidays coming up, there's a lot of pressure on dealing and moving through the triggers that we feel with certain friends or family members or people that we normally don't see, but we have to see this time of year because we feel like it's an obligation, or pressure from the world in general. How do we show up? How do we live this life at this point? How do we make it work and survive it? How do we survive it? Because that's where a lot of us are moving from, is a place of survival. Forget thinking about thriving, right? A lot of us are just trying to get through day to day, and that's understandable. And for those of you that this resonates with, I feel you. I see you. I'm there a lot too, myself. In fact, this morning I fought the idea of even putting a video out because I feel very much in a survival mode today, or I did. And I moved through it. I was able to navigate myself through it by being there for that feeling. So I thought to myself, how do I show up in this video? What am I going to say? I know I'm new at this and I'm really nervous, but I also knew from my heart and soul that I just wanted to share a couple things that were coming through the herd, through me, to share. So as I spent some time with them this morning, and I'm feeling all of the effects of the intensity of the world right now, what really popped for me was to talk about the importance of presence, true presence. I think we all at this point understand the power of the now, or the power of having presence in our lives, of actually being in the moment. But it's a different thing to know it intellectually and actually to be there, to embody presence. And that's what the horses do. That's what they do naturally. And we have that in us, but we have kind of been wired out of being present for ourselves and being present for the world that we're living in moment to moment, because we have these beautiful minds, right? As human beings, we have minds that are able to create worlds. But what we're missing is that we don't go into our body, truly into our body, and embody the presence of that actual moment. So I'll give you an example. This morning when I was feeling a little bit off and feeling like I was just kind of struggling with myself today, I got really quiet, didn't try to push any of these crazy thoughts away. My mind was racing. I was thinking about a million things. So I didn't want to fight that, because that's still part of me and it needs to be honored. It needs to be seen. That's why it's coming up. It's trying to be seen. And if I fought that too hard and said, oh my God, I can't even get present for this, I can't even meditate with the horses because of all of these rambling, crazy thoughts in my mind, all I'm doing is adding resistance. And that actually grabs onto the energy of those racing thoughts, if that makes sense. So what I did is I was able to, and this takes practice. I mean, every day it's a learning curve, a new learning curve for me. I was able to get present and allow myself, my higher self, to be bigger, because it is bigger than whatever I'm going through in that moment. But I was able to embody that higher part of me and that presence. And I was with the horses, which really, really helps me. So they have such a huge grounded presence about them. And they don't have the minds that we have, right? They don't have the analytical mind or the thinking brain that we do, that can be such a gift to create worlds and create new inventions and think our way through and analyze our way through everything. That has a place and time. But what they have, in my opinion, that is actually a more important gift than that, is embodying everything in the very present moment. They aren't having anxiety about what happened 5 days ago or about the grudge that they've decided to hold against another herd mate because they're not getting along. They have things come up, they feel it with their whole body. So they have this multi-sensory ability about them that comes so naturally. And then they deal with it, and they're able to deal with it in that moment and let it go. So this was huge for me this morning. This is something that I work with all the time. This is something that I work with in sessions with people who come here, and it's such a powerful tool. But it's another thing to remember to use it for myself, right? So here I am off this morning, not feeling great about myself, not feeling great about how I'm perceiving the world. And I decided to get quiet and sit with them in the barnyard as they were resting. And I was just with their presence. And it's almost like their huge embodied presence brought me more present into my body. And I started to notice that the thoughts were getting quieter on their own. I wasn't fighting them. I was just there. I just decided to be there in that moment. And I could feel the wind blowing around me. And I could feel a lot of pain and old emotional traumas or patterns come up in my body, fighting for their life, going, no, don't do this. You don't have time. Don't pay attention to this. Because see, if I actually hold that in my awareness and let whatever wants to come up and come through me, if I do that, that gets dissolved within the higher part of me. So if an old emotional pain comes up, or a grief or a sadness or an anger or a trigger comes up, I'm not trying to get rid of it. I want to sit with it because all it wants is to be heard and held. So as I did that, things were coming up, being heard and being held, and I was the bigger space holding all of that to fall into. In the meantime, my herd is standing there, just being them, right? Once in a while, they were interacting with each other. It was quite a quiet time. I think they're still out there napping, actually. But it was kind of their rest time. It was after they had eaten and they were just enjoying themselves and they were being present. So once in a while, an interaction would happen, movement would happen. Someone was asking someone else to move out of a space. And they worked that out in the moment and then they were fine. So I guess I'm bringing this up today because what I first mentioned was the pressure of showing up a certain way that I think a lot of us are feeling. I'm certainly feeling it, and I'm feeling a lot of the energy swirling around me saying, we're really struggling here. So if this video resonates with you, I just want you to know that if you're feeling pressure to show up a certain way, to be a certain way, first, be open to consider that that's not really you. That's the energy within you that served a purpose and perhaps protected you at a past moment when you had to be a certain way and hold a certain pattern to survive. And I don't mean necessarily a huge life and death survival, but to the ego, everything is survival, right? So when you have anger that you hold in your body, or you have fear, or you have tension, anxiety, depression, it's all there trying to give you a message. But when you grab onto that and identify with it, it gets stuck in your body instead of moving through you. So what we can learn from the horses is to embody the more multi-sensory part of us, where we feel with our physical bodies as we expand our awareness outside of our physical bodies. It's almost like you're doing both of those things, all of those things at once. You are aware that you are more than your body. You're aware that you're more than the emotions that are coming up. You're more than the pressure that's telling you that you have to show up a certain way in your life, or to a family member, or to a spouse. You're more than that. And at the same time, you're allowing yourself to drop deep into this physical body, this vessel that has given you a way to be here on this physical earth plane, right? So you drop into your body, and at the same time, you expand out of your body so that you start to merge with the part of you that is larger than all of it, because you are all that is. You are that bigger thing. You are a piece of God or universe or source. You are God, universe, or source. Okay. So, something that the horses teach us is that they already know that. And they don't need to know that. They just are that. They just are. They just be in their everyday life, right? They are being what they are. They are not trying to impress people or show up in a certain way that doesn't feel aligned with their authentic selves or all the other kind of more complex things that us humans are dealing with on our journey of growth and evolution. But they're here to teach us. And so we're here to honor that they're teaching us. And I think actually I might make this a part one video. I'm going to stop this video and make it part one in a minute here. And I'm going to make a part two where I can take you outside so that you can actually be introduced to the horses and see how they are dealing with being and see what we can learn from them. So I hope that this helped. I think that what was flowing through me was quite intense this morning. And like I said, I wasn't even sure if I was going to make a video because I felt off. And then I remembered the promise that I kind of silently made to myself and to you guys, which is on this Soul Horse Medicine channel, I show up as is. So I'm not forcing myself to show up on days that I feel off, but I am certainly going to consider and be open to the idea of moving through what I'm feeling, recognizing that I'm not that. I'm not that thing that's holding me back. I'm not going to identify with that. I'm going to identify with the larger part of me who says, I am present. I am here. I know how to just be because that I am all that is. And I'm much, much bigger than all of the problems and the fears and the pressure I feel to show up a certain way. And I'm going to let that move through me and allow myself to express whatever needs to come through, so that if anyone needs to hear this, and if this is able to help anyone see something from a different perspective and get through a challenge they're having today, then it's well worth it. And if not, that's okay too, because this helped me a whole lot. So I hope you see your value today. I love you, and I'll see you outside in a minute.